The vast majority of people are unhappy with their current life or their current situation in life. Why? We'll find out in just a moment. Hello, I'm Jared Wright. As always, my companion Lola, and you're watching The Proficient Mindset. For those of you that watched my first video, I cited a particular study that showed that 80% of all thoughts that the average person has are negative. I'm about to cite a similar study that I think has a very astounding correlation. The University of Pennsylvania conducted a study that actually lasted 22 years, and this study involved over 350,000 people, and they would call these people approximately once a week at random times, and they would simply ask them what they were thinking about at that exact moment. What they found is there was a profound difference in the thoughts of the top 10% as opposed to the lower 80%. Again, we're at this 80%. The bottom 80% were primarily obsessing over these type of thoughts. Thought about things that made them both angry or sad. They were constantly bringing up events from the past that they had no control over, and they also thought about others that were to blame for their current situation. In a drastic contrast to this, the top 10% were mainly thinking about goals and ideals that they wanted to achieve, and they were planning on how to make these things possible. So while you have the bottom 80% thinking primarily negatively, the top 10% were thinking about what they want to accomplish and how to do so. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button and click the bell for future notifications of videos. Also, please give this video a thumbs up, and I would love it if you would make some comments down below. One thing that immediately stands out to me on this study is the difference in the sense of ownership. The top 10% are in full realization that they are in control of their own life and their own destiny. And so what they're doing is they realize they have the belief that they can achieve these things, and they are simply focusing their energy and their emotions on how to achieve what they want to get out of their life. The vast majority, these 4 out of 5 people, they are caught in this negative feedback loop about thinking about situations that are in the past that they have no control over. Speaking of living in the past, that means the bottom 80% are obsessing about a realm that we can never go to. The past is simply that. It is the past. All we have the present, and we can have ideals and objectives for our future. Unfortunately, I've spent the majority of my life being one of the 80%, and I can personally attest to the huge impact that learning to think in the present and looking towards the future can make. We all have things from the past that we wish would have worked out differently, things we would have done differently, things we would have said differently. The key here is it's okay to look back on those, but there is a big difference between learning from the past and living and dwelling in the past. If you are completely obsessed with past events and you go over these things in your mind, and you go over these scenarios and what you would have said differently, what you would have done, but you keep imagining that you would have done these things that there's no way that you can ever go back and do. Essentially what you're doing is you're dimming the brightness of your future because there is no focus on it. Instead, take a look at what you've done, realize the mistakes you've made, ways you could have handled situations differently. Use this as fuel and motivation to change these aspects of your life and essentially build a better you for the future. Stop blaming others. It's very easy to do. It is very easy to pass the blame onto other people and blame others for our personal misfortune, our personal pain. We will never have complete control of what other people do to us, what other people say to us. But what we will always have control of is how we react and how we deal with these things. Whenever you're blaming other people, you're taking all the power of your own life away from yourself and you're placing it onto someone else. No matter what happens to you from other people, you have to understand that your life is yours and yours alone. And it is your responsibility, your obligation, and you have the absolute power to steer your life in the direction that you want it to go. You have the ability to live the life that you deserve. But this will not happen until you come to the realization that you do deserve it. You need to understand that you are a special being, that you have a lot of worth, and you have wonderful things that you can give to this world. Then when you realize that you deserve it, then you have to believe that you can attain it. You must believe 100% that you are capable of accomplishing what you want out of your life. And you have to believe 100% that you have the willpower to make the changes that you need to be the person that you want to be. Now that you believe that you can achieve it, then you must know, you must have an absolute knowledge that you can obtain what you desire. And when I say obtain what you desire, I am not speaking purely of material things. I'm not, yes, wealth, prosperity, things like that definitely fall into this category. But I'm saying building true friendships, improving areas of your life that you are not happy with. Whatever this happens to be, the areas that you feel are the weak points in your life, you must know that you have the ability to change them and that you can. And at this point, whenever you have that knowledge, rather than dwelling on the past, rather than blaming other people, rather than being just caught in this constant loop of negativity, you need to... Now it's time to focus on these goals and to put forth the effort to make them happen. Believe and achieve. It really is that simple. Try to catch yourself. If you start thinking about events from the past, try to ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Don't go over the scenarios and think of the bad feelings you have. When you do this, you're actually triggering a fight or flight response in the brain, and when this happens, it actually shuts down your advanced thought. A perfect example of this is road rage. You can be driving along, you can be thinking normally, someone pulls out in front of you, immediately you become angry, you lay on the horn, you may yell, you may cuss, and this is a perfect example showing that whenever the primal brain and fight or flight is activated, it actually shuts down our advanced thought and our advanced reasoning ability. Is you want to simply reflect on these past moments, think about what you would do differently here on out. What have you learned from the situation? Do not get caught up in the horrible emotions you felt. Simply think to yourself, what you have control over always is yourself and your own reactions. Look at that intrinsically, then realize what your personal shortcomings were, and then simply think of the things that you need to do so that if this ever happened again, you could handle it differently, or think of if it's a problem with you having knee-jerk reactions, whatever it may be, think of what you need to do to assure that you become better at handling these same situations in the future. Imagine if all the time that you have spent going over negative memories in your mind, imagine if all the time you have spent when something bad happens and you think about it over and over and you relive it again and again and again. What if you spent every bit of that energy working on yourself and being the person that you want to be where would your life be right now compared to where it is? If you would like to shoot me an email, proficient_mindset@yahoo.com. If you have any suggestions for the channel or anything you would like to see me cover in the future, I would be more than happy to. Thank you for watching.